Blake Cartwright, and welcome to the continuation of 9 Pound Hammer History Month here in November. This is part 2, so if you've accidentally clicked on this one first, by all means go back to part 1. You will not know what the fuck I'm talking about unless you see that one first. And let's just skip to first 9 Pound Hammer first record. We'll talk about the music in a second. I told myself that I was going to kill myself or kill everybody if I didn't have an album that came out before I was 25, and with 6 months to spare, The Mud, the Blood, and the Beards came out on Wang Head Records, put out by Lynn Putch, now Speed Cult. We played together in Louisville, and this thing, I think it sounds like hell, personally. But it's like the same thing as the first Natural Pussy record, which we thought sounded like hell. I think it touched with people. It was like introduction, and people in foreign lands going, what the hell? How did this mutation happen? And if you look at it, there's not a lot of cowpunk yet. And but one thing about this record, it got a lot of attention. When it first came out, me and Scott were hoping just one person out there would write something nice about us and understand what we're talking about. And I was like our goal in life, or that goal at the moment. And we end up having ecstatic reviews, probably the best reviews I've ever gotten for anything, getting like 9 out of 10. And John Peel in England played this so much that someone impersonated Rob Halsman, and acted like he was a 9 Pound Hammer drummer to get access to John Peel. Now, I didn't know who the hell John Peel was at the time, so it didn't mean a lot as it does now. Anyway, this is a great record. And we'll end that on a high note. We thought we were going to be famous. But if you listen to this, it's not cowpunk at all. The only thing that really sounds punk is cow rather. The only thing that really sounds cow is Scott's voice, and that brings us to today's playlist. Johnny and Johnny. Now you're talking about Johnny Cash and Johnny Thunders, because that's basically like the last one was Jason the Scorchers and the Ramones. That was who we were wanting to be and hoping to be. What we actually sounded like, I sounded like Johnny Thunders, Scott sounds like Johnny Cash. And we're very, very lucky on the Johnny Cash part as far as Scott, because the best advice I can give anyone is what I read that Chrissie Hynde said about being a singer. Go into a closet, shout your brains out, listen to how it sounds, that's your voice, deal with it. That's it. And luckily, Scott always had this like really deep Johnny Cash kind of twang. And anytime we did a Johnny Cash number, oh man, it would be great, and we'd nail it. And also, anytime that anything was Johnny Thunders related, we could I totally nailed that. So that's what we could do, and we were very, very happy about that. And it's easier to set your guitar to sound like Johnny Thunders, and you can't really set your voice to sound like Johnny Cash. I mean, if I could set my voice, I sound like Wilson Pickett, but no, I sound like me. That's just the way it goes. So that brings us to today's playlist, Johnny Cash and Johnny Thunders. Now, if you don't know, Johnny Thunders was the lead guitar player of the New York Dolls, and also split off to form the Heartbreakers, and basically introduced heroin to everyone, and including Sid Vicious. But besides that, he had an amazing guitar. Now on this playlist, I've put the same 13 Johnny Thunder songs that he did record 1,000 times. Now the interesting contrast between these two people is during the 70s, when Scott and I were growing up, Johnny Cash wasn't the fuck you Johnny Cash rebel. Johnny Cash was family entertainment. Johnny Cash came on Christmas special with Roy Rogers and Dale Evans and sang gospel songs constantly. Johnny Cash was something that we had shoved up our ass, and we liked it. But he definitely kind of devolved into this family entertainment, like I was saying before he had his big resurgence. I mean, there was even at one point where he'd gotten dropped by Columbia Records in the 80s, and he was just doing kind of really standard country fare. But the Johnny Cash that's on this playlist is what I would call Johnny Cash in happier times. I don't like listening to those later records when he was about to die. We like the 9 Pound Hammer stuff 9 Pound Hammer draws on is the boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka boom chick songs about teenage queen and candy stores and the big rivers and I'm gonna cry and here comes that train. And it's interesting that he became family entertainment because Johnny Cash was obviously a very secret. There's a secret back then, but he's obviously a hellraiser if you've seen the movie. And no one had any idea that he was like that. Everyone thought it was always past him. But he got famous for singing. You listen to some of these songs. There's songs he's singing to a bunch of revved up jail convicts, and he's cussing. They're about, I'm gonna kill this person. I snort some cocaine. And they're going woo. And Johnny Thunders, I don't know if he ever cussed in one song, but Johnny Thunder at the exact opposite spectrum in the 70s. Johnny Thunders was known as everyone's bad example, everyone's favorite bad example, because he was a heroin addict, I guess, from the get-go. And someone told Johnny Thunders once that, because Johnny Thunders had a Keith Richards fixation, he wanted to be like Keith Richards, and someone told Johnny Thunders that Keith Richards waited till he was a rock star to become a heroin addict, you know. And Johnny did not. Johnny seemed to focus more on heroin. But if you listen to that guitar sound, there wasn't anything like that back then at all. You put that with the boom chicka boom, happiness of the Johnny Cash songs. I mean, they sound happy. You could be singing about I shot a man in Reno, you know, I mean, the family could sing along. I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. You know, that's pretty severe. But the way it sounds, it's just peppy and it moves along. And the way that Johnny Thunder sounds is like, I'm just dragging stuff out here. I'm like too lazy to keep up with you guys and screw you guys. I'm going to play over here by myself. So anyway, the other two cornerstones of the 9 Pound Hammer sound, Johnny Thunders and Johnny Cash. And you can get this list on Spotify or click on the link down low. And this one doesn't flow as good as the other lists have and will, because they seem to be kind of push and pull there. You know, and that's where we kind of put things together and came up with the 9 Pound Hammer sound naturally. That's, like I said, the Jason, Scorches, Ramones, something we were trying to do. This is something that came very naturally. Being a lazy stone guitar player, came very naturally to me, and having this big authoritative voice, like I'm right, you're wrong, came definitely easy to Scott. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys enjoy the playlist. And the reason we're doing this, I didn't mention it last time, besides it being declared by whoever's president to be 9 Pound Hammer History Month, we got a new album, Bluegrass Conspiracy. It's probably the best one. I don't know, you buy it and you tell me. Honestly, you can get it on the Pledge Music site or go just do a search for it. And while I'm at it, I'd like to thank Pledge Music for putting up with our shenanigans and helping us get this thing out. So, until next time. Okay, one more thing I forgot to say. Alright, Johnny Cash. Everyone likes Johnny Cash. Just because you like Johnny Cash doesn't mean you like country. But he's revered around the world. And before he died, he gave one interview on Larry King. And Larry King goes, who do you like in country music? He's I don't like most. He said he didn't like country music nowadays. And that was like from like 8-10 years ago, whenever it was. He said he did not like modern country music except for two people. One female and one male. The female, Emmylou Harris. The male, we're going to get to him, but that's going to be probably a place you guys are going to be jumping off. But Johnny Cash said he liked one guy on his death interview. Who was it? Alright, that'll be coming up. And stay tuned for 9 Pound Hammer History Month lesson part 3. And enjoy yourself and enjoy 9 Pound Hammer. And that's it. Thanks.